I'm really excited for this interview. What is an interview? Me and Dennis go back since I first started Extreme Couture, maybe 2012, 16. Not really sure. I think 2016. Dennis. There it is. Dennis.
Hey, hey.
Welcome. Thank you for taking your time coming out here and just, sharing your knowledge. One of the biggest things that I wanted to do this podcast is because, you let me know that you're coming out here already. So I'm like, we're gonna be doing the seminar September 7th at OFA, and hopefully we do another one that same day in the afternoon with Titan Gym. We'll get more information on that. But I wanted to give the people out here to get to know you more. You know, tell us. I want to first tell you the story of how you first started and what got you into this whole MMA world.
Yeah, well, I first started pretty much, I was 15 years old. I saw UFC 2, and I was like, man, I want to do that. And so I started training, and I was just in a little town in Oregon. There wasn't much training. And then luckily, there was a jiu-jitsu gym about 3 hours north of where I lived. So as soon as I graduated high school, I moved up to that gym, and that was the original Straight Blast gym, which is where Robert Follis was at. And then Robert Follis was, training partners with Randy and Dan and those guys, kind of, helping them with some of the jiu-jitsu side of it. And I trained with Follis from like 98 to 2000, right in that area. And then that's when they decided, like, hey, we're going to open up Team Quest. And Robert was like, I'm moving over to Team Quest. You're more than welcome. Obviously, I knew who Randy was at that time because he had had some fights in the UFC. Dan Henderson and Chell and Matt Linland, who was a silver medalist in the Olympics, they were there as well, but they hadn't really made a name for themselves yet. But I knew Randy, so I was like, well, those guys are fighting. That's what I want to do.
Oh
So I moved
man.
over there and basically was day one with Team Quest. And I was at Team Quest for probably 3 months, and they go, "Hey, you want to fight?" And I was like, "Yep." And that's how that got going. And then I just started fighting all the time, and then I moved to Las Vegas in 2004. Rico Rodriguez actually talked me into moving down to Las Vegas
It
first.
always
So I moved.
it, it always goes that way. It literally goes that way. If it's like someone invites you, like, oh come on. And
Yeah, that's kind of how it was. Rico actually wanted to open a gym with me in Vegas, so I moved to Vegas, and that was kind of the plan. And then Rico ended up, you know, fell in love, and he left not too long after that. And then I ended up opening up my own little spot for a little bit, and then but was still trying to fight. Didn't have training partners. Lost my title in the sport fight, and was like, man, what? Forget the gym. I need to focus on fighting. And then right about that time, Josh Berkman was up in Utah, and he's like, "Come up to Utah. We got some guys up here." So I went to Utah for a little bit, and then the Ultimate Fighter called me for season 5.
oh wow.
Yeah, they called me because I tried out for season 2, and at that time, the UFC only had 170. That was the lowest weight class, and really, I probably should have been a 35er. Fought at 45. At that time, I was mostly fighting fights at 55, and then some at 70. So I tried out for season 2. Dana was just like, and this is back when Dana actually gave the interviews, and Dana was like, "Man, you're just too small." So fast forward a few years, they did season 5, and they were bringing the lightweights back, and so they called me up, and when they called me up, I was like, "Yep, I mean, I'm in." Did all the medicals, all that, and then I moved back up to Oregon just to do the training camp for that fight. Quit my job, quit everything, focus on that. And then the week of taping, I got a call and was like, "Hey, we had to change things up. We're not going to use you for the show." And I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? All the bills started piling in, all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then Randy, actually, during this time, Randy had moved down to Vegas because he did the season one of The
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Fighter
My
and
fighter,
had
yeah.
connections down here. And then so he opened Extreme Couture. And I mean, this was probably 3 weeks after he opened Extreme Couture. And he was like, hey, I opened a Extreme Couture in Washington as well. And I want you to be the head coach of the gym up in Washington. And I was like, hey, I just got over being a coach like full time. I just want to focus on fighting. He's like, well, we got this brand new kid, Gray Maynard, and Tyson, and then this other kid, Tyson Griffin,
No, yeah, nothing,
which,
no one crazy.
yeah, didn't even know who Gray was. I knew Tyson because he beat Uriah Faber. You know,
Yeah.
he that was just kind of around that time he just beat Uriah, who obviously Uriah was a huge name back in the day. And so I was like, well, I know he's got one guy good, and then we'll see about this other kid. And when I got there, I found out about the other kid. So yeah, and then I fought at Extreme from 2007 to 2011, and then was just burnt out on the fighting with no money and all that, and then
It was crazy
started
back
coaching.
then. It was such a crazy thing back then when the stories that I've heard about people fighting for nothing. And even we get people here now complaining about, not saying complaining, but just trying to make the argument like the fighters don't get paid enough. And we know that they don't get paid enough. But it's like I didn't figure this out till now that we need to do more marketing ourselves, right?
Oh yeah,
We have to do way more marketing ourselves. Like in the beginning, when I first started fighting, I was like, "Hey, you guys do the marketing. I'll just come and fight." And it wasn't until now that I realized we had like we're a brand. You're a pro fighter, but you're also an entrepreneur that needs to like make a brand and be your become the reason people want to come watch.
yeah, 100%. It goes the same way with coaching, right? Like I've been coaching probably 20 years, and I've never marketed myself. I've just been behind the lights and just doing my thing, and then really probably a couple years ago, I was like, maybe I should try to market myself a little bit more. And I started pushing my Instagram and things
I've
like
been
that.
seeing it and I love it. I absolutely
Yeah,
love the details that you put on there. I've
yeah,
recently
yeah,
every since doing the same, and it's like it's so helpful. It really
yeah,
is.
yeah. And for me, it's not, so much of like, I need no limelight or anything like that, that I don't really care about. The one thing that does help, again, when we're talking about money as a coach, that's how I get paid. So if more people know who I am and want to work with me and like doing seminars and even moving to Vegas and I run their camps, that just puts money in my pocket to feed the
Yeah.
family. So that's why I kind of started doing it. Obviously, I have a son now, and before it was just me. It was like, I don't really give a shit if I get
No,
paid,
no
and yeah,
big
I'll
deal.
go
Yeah.
travel over here, and this is living life. Like this is awesome, But now it's like, well, he
Gotta take
needs
care of
he needs things, and I got to mark myself, so people know me more to be able to, provide for him.
exactly. I'm super excited for you to be coming out here. We're gonna be doing a seminar in OFA September 7th, and I've been talking to the guys and they're excited. They love the stuff that I do, but I'm telling them like you guys are incredible. The coaches at Extreme Tour, you and everyone, we just the knowledge that you guys have is just yeah. I was so blessed to be able to be a part of it and just how Flawless was just such a great mentor about it, and then Ray Sefo, you guys just I didn't realize how selfless you guys are until I started coaching. I did my thing. I was a fighter, and that was it. I didn't realize the amount of commitment you guys put in for the fighters. You guys,
Yeah, I, I don't think a lot of people do until you're
until
coaching.
you're in it,
And
yeah.
yeah, because same thing with me, right? Like I didn't realize how much time Follows put in to me. I mean, I've been coaching a long time, but like really, really been focusing since I retired. And then, you still don't even realize it until like you're into coaching for a while when things start popping up and you're like, oh man, like, man, I owe that coach a ton for the things he did for me.
Yeah, and it's not just the workouts, it's you know, all the time you guys, that you take away from your family to go be with the guys and everything like that, and just You know, you're a therapist. You're everything for these fighters. You know, they look
Yeah,
up.
100.
They look up to you, and for all this advice, and it's like you become like a father figure. I know for me, I thought father, you know, was kind of like a father figure that I needed. You, Ray for all you guys, it became just the father figures for me because I grew up without a dad. So right away, like I always looked for people for advice, and you guys were incredible.
Yeah, I mean that was false to me. You know, my dad died when I was 14. I saw UFC when I was 15 and was like,
I mean,
ugh, I'm gonna do that to somebody, you know. And then I met Follis, you know, and Follis was a special human being. On top
he
of it,
was.
I got blessed with a great mentor, and yeah, I mean he helped me a ton, and yeah, definitely he was a father figure to me.
And
You know.
I love it. You know, at Extreme Couture, you guys see so much talent every day. What's something beyond physical skill? What's like a non-negotiable mental trait that, top fighters need?
I think the biggest thing is like almost what you just kind of said, the mental side of it. Like you got to be mentally tough because you're going to be if this is what you want to do and you want to go far, you got to be prepared for the long haul, the ups and downs, and maybe losing a fight and making no money, and I mean it sucks. It's a tough life to really do all the things right to hopefully maybe be able to make some money in the long run,
Yeah,
you know. And it doesn't happen for
all the
everybody,
time.
you know. And sometimes there's luck as well, right? Like you said, social media, things like this. Like you could have an amazing fighter, but maybe he just
Not
doesn't have
marketable.
he's not marketable, or he doesn't have the connection. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I think the guys who are mentally tough and then can deal with the adversities of the ups and downs and keep chipping away and keep showing up struggling, I think that's a big thing. Again, not everyone has to struggle. There's some guys that are super talented and they get shot up quicker than others, but I think if we're looking at the big picture, most everyone's is going to be a tough road. So
For
you got to be
sure, for
prepared for
sure.
that.
And as a team, and how do you approach a fighter's confidence after a tough loss? Like, what do you guys, what do you do when when things just don't work out and the fighter just had a hard loss? Like, how do you help that fighter build his confidence back?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things, right? It depends on how many losses and things he's getting in a row. If so, then we got to take a big step back and figure out what we're doing. But if it's like, hey, you're winning, a majority of your fights and lose one, I'll tell guys it's like going to the bank, right? If you deposit enough wins, you can kind of afford the loss. Not
Mm,
that you want to lose, right? You never want to do that. But like, say you lose, hey, we go rip off two or three more,
we're
we're right
back in.
back in it, right? If
We're
you've
right
won
back in. Yeah,
seven, you lose one, you win two or three more. Hey, that's a damn good record for MMA, right? It's not like boxing where hey, you lose one and
it's done. Oh my
you're
God.
done, you're donezo, right?
I
So
think yeah, Mayweather he made it hard for everybody that needs to have that undefeated streak. It just no, it's not the same here for MMA.
it's not the same, yeah. So, and then man, MMA people forget things quick. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like you could lose one, your next fight you go knock someone out in fashion. It's like, oh, the last one was a fluke. That's what they'll say. The same guy that was talking shit and was like, oh,
He's
he was,
done.
yeah,
Nah,
this
big
guy's
time.
over
Yeah.
the hill, this and that. So, yeah, so you can't listen to people. You just got to stay the course and hey, you got to just keep chipping away and focus on the next one, right? That's all you can do. And try to learn from the little mistakes of what happened in that loss, right? And then sometimes it's not even a mistake. Sometimes you can
Mhm.
do everything perfect and shit just
Things happen.
happens.
Shit happens.
You get caught. You know what I mean? And not always the better fighter wins. Most of the time they do, but I've seen fighters
Yeah.
dominate guys and then boom get clipped with something and it's like ah, you know what I mean? Now again, if it's showing up, every other fight, then okay, well
There's
we
something
got
we need
big
to
problems
fix. We
that we
gotta
need
make
to
problems. Yeah,
fix,
for sure.
right? And then we maybe need to take a step down on competition, get things fixed, and then slowly, work back up that competition.
Yeah, and fighting is just a roller coaster of emotions. how do you get a young fighter to not get too high on the highs, but also not to get too lows on the lows? Like, how do we balance that with a young fighter coming up?
Yeah, well, I'll tell them usually when I first start working with the guys after their big first win or loss don't matter to me. I'm like, hey, you got 24 hours to do whatever, celebrate, walk around, you're the man, this and that. 20 after 24 hours, it's back to work. You know what I mean?
Back to work.
Same thing with the loss. So either way, hey, if you want to cry and sit there and pout and oh shit, I got caught, or man, I just got my ass beat, whatever. 24 hours to do it. Right after that, back in the gym and start working. So I look at it pretty much the same, win or loss.
Okay. And today, MMA fighters are just more complete than ever. What do you believe is the most technical gap that young fighters coming up, you know, need to fix? Is it the wrestling transitions, the striking? What do you think is the hardest thing to learn, and how do we get it together young?
Yeah, I think wrestling's the toughest thing to get down to be good at it, and then and I think it's the most important as well. You know what I mean? Like I'll see guys that have wrestled most of their life, and then they can pick up hands pretty quick. You know what I mean? Especially with being able to fake shots and
Yeah.
throw. The wrestling can help your striking a lot. You know what I mean?
I tell that to I tell that to my fighters right now too.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
it's not the same. Your striking really doesn't help your wrestling that much, right? Like, yeah, I mean, of course you uppercut someone, yeah, but like
You take them
so
there.
a lot of times you'll get strikers that don't know how to wrestle, and then they're just sitting there and not even throwing because they're so concerned on the
The
takedown.
wrestling, yeah. I had a
So
conversation with this young fighter today, a good striker, but he needs to work on his wrestling. And it's like, hey, you gotta just go to wrestling practice.
yeah, and most people that's probably the most neglected because it's tough. You know, that grind of getting slammed and beat up on it, especially if you're a striker. That first year or two of really diving into it, you're gonna hate life because it's
It's
tough.
hard. How many Wednesdays did we have that it was close to empty?
Oh yeah,
Like
lots.
it months,
But
and it
but
was
then it's like the guys that were showing up doing it, those were the guys that were going places.
those are the guys that were going places, for sure.
Yeah.
I think there was one day after Francis Francis started wrestling one of his fights. The
Hmm.
next day, that Wednesday, boom, everybody
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, prime example. When Francis first got to the gym, he never wrestled,
never
right? And
wrestled.
I mean, it's hard to argue. He's just touching guys, knocking them out. So he's like,
Yeah.
well, what do I need to wrestle? Then he fought Stipe the first time, got wrestled up.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was like, yeah, maybe I need to start wrestling. Then he started coming in. His wrestling got way better, and then he became the champ.
Became the champion. No, for sure.
Yeah,
Wrestling is going to be a big part of. It definitely should be a good big part for all young fighters. You have to be. For me, I was blessed to be able to start wrestling and get it into the MMA and learn how to throw hands and kicks and my submissions. But I took some guys too, like, hey guys, when in doubt, just start wrestling, get in a good position, and fucking don't get too crazy.
yeah. I mean, you look at like prime example. Everyone's all about the Dagestanian fighters and stuff like that. I mean, here's what I say. How many times do you see those guys doing videos of hitting pads and stuff like that? Not very often.
Not that I
They're always grappling,
they're
always
grinding, yeah.
wrestling, and they're dominating people. Right? I think nowadays you get so many people they want to touch pads and like look good, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that
No,
as
it's
long
one.
as
It's good
you're
to
as long as you're
you
putting
gotta
the
make
other work in.
yeah,
Right? But
yeah.
like if you're gonna skip wrestling practice to go hit pads,
Mm.
you,
It'll
you're gonna
show.
have a long road.
It's gonna show. It's
Yeah.
gonna show for sure.
Mhm.
One of the things I try to talk to my fighters about is a fighter IQ. We talk about this all the time. Like, how do you teach a fighter to make these real time adjustments? Are we doing specific drills with your guys, or do you do film study, or how do you build a fighter's fighter IQ?
For me, that's kind of hard to do inside camp. Like, obviously, you want all you guys to have fight IQ, but
In camp, yeah, I tell the guys, like, we're sharpening tools. We're not we're
yeah,
not we're
but
not learning stuff.
but I really think outside of camp, watching tape, trying
Okay.
to break things down, having fighters actually coach, right? I think that helps a ton on fight IQ. So,
That.
like, prime example, like maybe I go in the gym and say I have a guy and maybe he's good at like side control. And I'm like, hey, can you
Show
break
this.
down
Yeah.
side control today? And then he's all of a sudden he's thinking of like, what exactly am I doing? Because sometimes you just have amazing athletes and they're just doing stuff because they're an amazing athlete and there's like, well, I
Mhm.
just kind of do it. But once they understand how to like break things down and that really helps the fight IQ, I think. So
Okay.
if I can get guys kind of coaching a little bit, anytime I've done that, I've just seen their game. I know for me too, same thing. When I was fighting, I zero fight IQ, man. I chin down and was just swinging for the fences, going crazy. And then once I started coaching and breaking down tape, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like now I got the fight IQ. It's the old Tyson thing. You don't even understand the boxing until it's too late. It's
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Obviously, in my time, the fight IQ wasn't is what it is today,
No,
right?
yeah.
So with so many like things out on videos and so many guys training and fights every weekend, you know, you can watch and study things way more compared to like when I was coming up. When I was coming up, you might get a UFC once every 3 months.
Hmm.
Go get some old VHS tapes or
Yeah.
something like that if you're lucky. So I think it was a slower process. Now guys can pick it up much quicker, but studying, watching, breaking things down, I think that
Yeah.
helps.
I absolutely love Monday's practice, how we drilled situationals on the wall and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Like, hey, you're on your back, figure it out. I think for
Yeah,
me that helped a lot too. I love Monday practices.
yeah,
It's funny because now I coach out here and I run it just like Extreme Couture.
nice.
Mondays we do Mondays we do an MMA, Tuesday have them spar. We're gonna do winter wrestling, and it's like the fundamentals and how we ran stuff at Extreme Couture. It's incredible. I was blessed with all you guys and all the great teammates, and it made me such a great fighter to be able to take these short notice fights. Because we always talked about this. Jay Haran always told me, "You gotta stay ready,
Yeah,
stay ready."
and that's a guy who was always ready, you know.
Yeah,
So
Jason.
yeah, I used to train with him side by side, and that guy, even when he got stuck in I believe it was a Strike Force contract where it's like they were shelving him for like a year. That dude every day was still in the gym, ready because he's like, you never know if they
Never know. Yeah,
release it. So
I've
yeah,
been.
yeah,
He was one of my mentors too. That kind of took me under his wing, and he always told me that, man, be ready, be ready, be ready. And I took in two, three, maybe three fights already for really short notice. When I first fought for Combate for the first title, lost at short notice, and then got a chance to go refight that. I was ready. When I fought Marab on a 1 day notice, ready. And then
yeah,
when I just recently just fought, well, not recently, when I fought for Octagon for their world title, hey, you want to fight this weekend? Yes. It helps. It helps. Be ready
yeah.
in the situations to give yourself the opportunity to put yourself in the right spot. I told these guys here, like, hey, if you trying to fight, you get a call and say you're just too heavy or you're just not in shape, they're not gonna call you again.
Yeah. And that's the one thing you got total control of,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Total control of your shape and being ready. You know, I've seen that on the flip side. Um, guy in the gym, right? Yeah, training half ass or whatnot, gets call UFC, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm not in shape. It was 3 weeks. I'm not in shape. Like, I got an LFA fight. I'm gonna fight the LFA fight. I'm gonna win that, and then they'll want me."
No,
Well, he went and got knocked out in that LFA fight, and that was 8 9 years ago, and he's still never
stuck.
fought for him.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you got to take those
What
opportunities.
do you think is more important as a coach? Do you get do you help young fighters with their strength? You know, do you get them deeper with their strength, or do you help them with their weaknesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a little bit of both, but I think some of the weakness, depending on what it is, right? Like if there's big holes, right? Like say he's an amazing striker, it's like, well, why make him any stronger than that if he can't stop a takedown, and he just gets took down and choked out. So it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to really work on that weakness of his scrambles. If he does get taken down, how to stop those. So I would sway a little more towards the weakness, but I also say don't ever forget about your strengths, right?
For
Because
sure, for sure.
I've also seen this. I've seen great wrestlers, right? All of a sudden they come in, they're they're striking, and it's like, oh man, like this is cool, and then all of a sudden
Happened to
they're not
me.
showing up.
Happened to
Yeah,
me.
I've
Happened to
seen
me.
it. I've seen that happen, especially with wrestlers more than anyone else, where
Mm-hmm.
they're elite wrestlers, and all of a sudden they enjoy the striking. It's something new, especially if they knock somebody out.
Yeah, there it
Then it's like,
is.
whoa,
You
I'm
get
just
you
gonna
get a
do
couple
that every.
knockouts, and you're like, oh, I can just hit people and not worry about wrestling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, and then they stop showing up to wrestling practice. Then all of a sudden, their takedown's not as sharp as it
Mm-hmm.
used to be, right? And things like that. Or guys are scrambling on them more. Again, you got to work on everything, but like I think again, guys just once they start touching pads and hitting, it feels good. Oh, I've been wrestling for 15 years, but like if you're not doing it somewhat consistent, it's gonna fade and drop off. Right? That's with everything.
How
So
how important do you think game planning is? Have you walk us through a specific situation you that you gone through that a game plan actually won you a fight?
yeah, that's hard. I mean, I got
I know you got tons. I know
so
you
many
got
fights
tons.
I forget on them. But yeah, I mean, I've had some game plans where it's like, hey, this is that. Oh, here's one. This was actually an amateur fight. So when I took over as the amateur coach, there was a kid on the amateur team. He was 0-4, and not good, not good at all. And so I was like, and he had already had a scheduled fight for like 8 weeks out, and
Okay.
and pretty much this was my first week on the job taking over the amateur team. And so I was like, hey, let's see your skill set. Wasn't very good. I was like, hey, let's press this guy to the cage. Let's go to the wrist ride, like ankle pick, and then work this little system on the cage. I go, for the next 8 weeks, we're just going to do that over and over and over. And that's all we worked on. And he got pretty decent at it. Fight came out, rushed the kid to the cage, got the wrist ride, dumped him down, TKO'd him. That was his first win. So that one was probably as perfect as it can go. And then the kid ended up going 4-4, and then was like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
As a young fighter, with some or a guy with some few pro fights, what do you think they should be looking for in a gym and as a head coach? What are some red flags? What are some green flags about this?
yeah. I think having a coach that's willing to go outside the box and look to other places for more information if you need it, right? Like no coach knows everything, right?
No, no.
I know quite a bit because I've been fortunate to be around so many good athletes. I don't know it all either.
Mhm.
Luckily for me, it's like, oh, hey, maybe I'm having trouble in a striking sense. Hey, Ray Cepho,
Oh,
right? Hey, what
oh,
would you do in this spot? Hey, how are you setting up your jab, Cepho? Or,
I
you
love the
know,
fact that we were able to do that extreme, like to be like,
yeah,
hey,
100%. So talk to the guys around you, and if you got a coach who's like, don't go ask those guys over there, or like, oh, I know how to do it, and
mm,
you
red
know,
flag,
it could be a red
red
flag.
flag for sure. Yeah.
So that would be my biggest thing is a coach who's acting like he knows everything, right? Not saying he can't know a lot, but like there's some guys that are just really good specialists, and that's okay to go ask that guy, right? My thing as a
Mhm.
coach is what's the most important is my fighters getting what he needs.
From
And if you're a
whoever,
good coach and
from
and you're
wherever. Hey,
and you're
go.
giving him what he needs, why would he leave you,
No, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's okay to go out and get other information and and yeah, and just grow from that. So that's what I would say would be a big piece of it, is looking for a coach.
Awesome, awesome. You know, outside of winning winning fights, what are the big things a kid or a fighter needs to do to brand themselves? How could a young fighter brand themselves more, like be more marketable?
Yeah, well, you know,
Winning
I'm
works.
not.
Winning works. But
Yeah,
what?
I'm not the greatest guy because obviously I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit myself. The last couple of years I've been doing a lot better, but like you know, Instagram, posting stuff like that, right? And just you got to be consistent. Again, I don't really like it, but if you can talk, right, like that always helps. My boy, my old training partner and buddy Chael Sonnen, he was the prime example.
That's
Back in
awesome.
the day when I was training with him, he never really talked. Right, he was just chipping away. Nobody knew who he was. Right, he
Mm-hmm.
was in the UFC. Nobody knew who he was. All of a sudden, he starts showing his true character and like and talking, and boom, he blew up. Right, so I wouldn't say be fake with it. You know what I mean? Be true to yourself, but also if you can go out and you know, and I'm still learning this myself, right? I'm a little more on the quiet side and just kind of chill. But like prime example, I was just in North Carolina for the PFL fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like I see another coach, and like I've seen this guy around a bunch, and I've just never said nothing. A little bit, I maybe on the shy side or whatnot, and just kind of go my route. And then this
Mm-hmm.
time, I'm like, you know what? I went up to him, hey, coach, you know, Dennis, you know, we actually follow each other on social media, but I just want to introduce myself because I've never really talked to you. And he's just like, oh, hey, you know, and like kind of caught him by off guard, but like just things like that of rubbing elbows with your peers, and I don't think that hurts because now all of
No,
a
not at
sudden, you
all.
know, maybe this guy. Um,
Has
gets
connection.
a call and one of his fighters can't fight and he's like, hey, this dude's a cool guy, maybe I'll hit him up. And he's like, hey, do you got a 135 pounder for 2 weeks? Yeah, maybe I do. Right,
Maybe I
so
do.
little things like that I think you can do. Just be genuine and put yourself out there a little bit more.
Awesome. This is a good one. This is a good one. What should a fighter how how should a fighter approach negotiating contracts like in their early career? What's one thing that that needs to be on there when negotiating the contracts for these young
So
fighters?
yeah, so I would say depending on what organization, but if it's not a major organization, then you should be having an out on the contract, right? Of like a certain amount of fights. And I think a contract, if they're not going to give you like like a UFC out or like
Mm,
so, something like that, then it
hey,
needs to be a shorter contract. I need
sure.
3 fights over 1 year. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where it's like,
I love that time thing. I put that in all my fight, in my all my cards.
yeah,
Hey guys,
yeah, I
if
think
someone big calls, hey match it, or you gotta let me go. We can't be stuck here.
100%. Yeah, because I'll see that. A lot of guys have gotten better, but like I remember back in the day, guys getting stuck in like
Fuck.
King of the Cage, right?
Oh, I
Great
heard so. Oh, I heard
organization,
some nightmares about
but
King
but
the
it,
Cage
it's
contracts.
yeah, but it's not UFC. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, we got this guy and he's making 1,000 for King of the Cage, and UFC wants to call him up where he can be making like 10 and 10, or
Yeah.
you know, at least at this time, and they're like, no, we got you. So where if you had the UFC out or you know a major promotion out, then that's definitely something to have in that contract.
Yeah, for sure. I love this question about I wanted to ask. You've been working with the legends, like Flawless and you know Randy Couture. What is something that Randy said, some kind of advice they gave you that kind of just made you think twice? Like what.
Yeah, I mean he's told me a lot of different things, but one that's always kind of stuck out to me because he lives it is you don't have to act like the man if you are the man, you know. And you'll see some guys they'll win a couple fights and all of a sudden their whole attitude changes, right? I've seen that a ton where it's like I don't have a problem with how people act if that's truly who you are, right? But like I'll see someone win uh, their UFC debut and then all of a sudden they're acting completely different, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like they've really done something. And here's
Mm-hmm.
Randy, who's done it all, and he's the same guy.
So humble. He's
He's the same guy from when I first met him, when he had only had a couple fights. Like, he's never changed who he is. And so that saying he said is one that always sticks, because I know that's something that he lives by.
I love that. And I remember working at the front desk when Randy used to pass by and just such a nice and humble guy. And it's funny, just recently I think I must have popped up in his social media. He started following me. We started going back and forth and just, I I look back and I'm just so blessed for the amount of people that I've met at Extreme Couture, and this crazy life that we're living in. Because the company that I'm working with over here, so did like a little background on my social media, and it's like, how are you friends with all these crazy people? And I'm like,
Yeah.
met them at Extreme Couture. They're my coaches, and they're just, it's nothing crazy. Just it's a teammate or a friend, and it just the connections that you make in this crazy world is, I think, is everything. It opened so many doors for me, and like these guys just changed my life forever. I'm
Yeah.
so blessed for you guys. I'm living out here in Europe now. And this would have never happened if it wasn't me being ready at Extreme Couture, like the way you guys just raised me up. And it was just, I'm so just grateful for you guys for doing everything you guys do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm blessed too of just all the connections, right? Like, I mean, prime example, I'm doing like a Europe tour, and I'm doing one in your city. That's a connection.
Simple.
From there, and then I'm going to Germany and then Denmark again. Other connections I've had from the gym. You know, so yeah, we're both been pretty blessed in being in a great spot.
You know, like out here, I'm like, I tell these guys, you have to focus on, taking care of yourself, the recovery part, making sure your mindset is right. Because me, I'm always smiling, always happy, and I think it's just that kind of style, and just being grateful for the things that I have, and just being in the right situation at the right time, has opened the doors for me. Because people, I feel, they see that I'm generally happy, and they want to be around me, and they want me to, to be a part of the group or be. And I feel like I've always told these guys, like, you have to work on your mental, the mental aspect of this game, because it's easy to just think about all the negative stuff.
Yo, yeah, 100%. That's why I said, like, especially after like a loss, you can't be looking at all the DMs and all that stuff, because the people that truly care about you
They
and
reach
love
out.
you, they're gonna love you regardless if it's a win or a loss, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
course,
Mm-hmm.
they want you to win because they want the best for you,
Of course, they want the best
but
for you.
they're gonna love you regardless on a loss. Um, and you'll have guys, the trolls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna hate on you, win or lose, anyways. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So don't even pay attention to those guys, and yeah, just keep chipping away. And really, I say, do it if you truly love doing it and being happy doing it. Do it for that reason, no other reason. Don't do it for fame or for the
Mm-mm.
money. All that, you do it for loving it and
It comes.
enjoying it. All that
Mm-hmm.
stuff will come. Yeah.
Man. Also, now I always wanted to ask, like, how's things going, in your life right now with the kid? How's the kids growing? How things are going there? I just had
Yeah.
my baby, so it's like I'm trying to balance how to be a dad and still be a coach and be a fighter. But how's the dad life?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, my guy. He's 10 now, so he's
What?
getting. Yeah, it's like blink and yeah. So yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I love it. I've toned down a lot of my coaching as far as like my traveling and cornering people. I don't do that near as much as I used to, because I was just losing
So
precious
much time.
time with him, of like seeing him grow into a little man.
Came back
So
and
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like, man, like I missed a lot of things by traveling with people and things like that. So I've kind of cut off like my roster. Of course, I still help everyone at the gym. Anyone's got
Of
questions,
course, yeah.
I still lead whoever needs it. But as far as like traveling every weekend and doing these little things, like now I got like a core group of guys where it's like these guys are doing all the right things that I'm gonna take a little piece out of my life to go for those guys.
Go help them out.
Um,
Okay.
and then I'm spending way more time at home and yeah, just getting to see him grow and enjoying him. So it's been great.
Man, I'm so excited for you to come out here. You know, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great day. I'm super excited to to spend time with you guys. I've been out here for 2 years already, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's
wow.
crazy to see like how fast I go. And I knew you were out that way. And then Nate was telling me like, oh, this is like
That's it.
the city, and then I'm like, I'm gonna be there for like a day. And that's when I hit you up. Yeah,
It worked out perfectly, man. I'm so excited to have you out here. I'm really happy for the fighters out here. Hopefully, we'll get this more information out there and get everyone to come out because I know the knowledge that you have is going to be incredible for these gut fighters. So thank you. This is it.
awesome.
I appreciate it for
Yeah,
everything you do, man. Back at the Streamer Tour, and then just continue doing your thing. I love it.
of course, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Great talk. I appreciate
Yep,
everything you do, man. We'll
of
stay in tune.
course.
We'll stay in touch, and we'll
Okay.
keep going.
Yeah, a few weeks and I'll be out that way.
Can't wait.
Yep.
See ya, man.
Okay. Enjoy. Have a good one.